The story picks up 5 years after the zombie plague has decimated the Earth, continuing from the What If episode, What If Zombies? The episode primarily follows a small group of young survivors: Kamala Khan, popularly known as Ms. Marvel, Kate Bishop, and Riri Williams, also known as Ironheart. Riri is piloting an Iron Man suit equipped with the AI Friday, which she recovered after Tony Stark's death. They are scavenging in a ruined New York City, constantly avoiding zombie threats. One such day, they hear a Quinjet crashing into the streets of New York and, with the hopes of finding some valuable tech, run towards it. Before long, they discover an infected zombie in the cockpit, and using her tech, Riri discovers a miniaturized device in its stomach. Kamala opens up the belly of the zombie and recovers the device, which turns out to be a shrunken subspace transmitter. Just as they were heading back to their hideout, they are attacked by a zombie Hawkeye. He shoots a couple of arrows and they nearly hit the trio, but owing to their luck, Kate manages to shoot some precisely timed arrows at the zombie Avenger, allowing them the chance to flee. This scene shows us that although infected, the heroes still have their skills intact. They return to their hideout, which turns out to be Kate's house, and analyze the device. Riri soon finds out that the subspace transmitter was shrunk using PIM particles, and it could be used to signal the alien race named Nova Corps for help. S.H.I.E.L.D. had intended to use it to contact the Nova Corps to request their help in curing the zombies. But before they could do so, their base was overrun by a horde of the infected. Understanding that it may be the last hope of Earth, the three friends decide to visit a S.H.I.E.L.D. base located in Ohio, so that they can use a S.H.I.E.L.D. motherboard to send the signal to Nova Corps. They embark on their journey along with Friday, but after covering some distance, they discover a path cut through a mountain. Not knowing what could do such a thing, they continue their journey, but to their horror, they find black clouds approaching their direction in an unnatural speed. Sensing danger, they press on the gas and soon, they are attacked by beams of energy. They try their best to avoid it, but eventually their truck gets struck by a powerful energy beam, sending it tumbling in the desert. To make matters worse, a horde of zombies attack the group, and using the power of Kamala's bracelet, she manages to fend off some of them. But their numbers keep on increasing, and unfortunately they get caught in the fight between zombie Captain Marvel and the Eternal named Ikaris, who seems to be uninfected. More zombies attack them, and the trio try their best to fend them off. But this is when the infected Captain Marvel attacks Kate. Kate shoots the infected Avenger through the heart, but it has little impact. Captain Marvel attacks her with her energy beam, and Kate loses her life instantly. Seeing this, an enraged Kamala advances towards Captain Marvel, but she easily overpowers Kamala. Riri gets bitten by a zombie, and she immediately injects her with an unknown substance and orders Friday to escort Kamala to a safe place. Friday does as told, but soon returns to Riri with the intention of saving her second master. Soon, the heat of the battle proves to be too much for Kamala, and she again gets caught in the fight between Ikaris and Captain Marvel. Just as she was about to lose consciousness, we see a silhouette of a bike rider grabbing her, and her eyes close. In her nightmare, she sees her friends who point her to a zombified Scarlet Witch, and this scary scene breaks her nightmare. Opening her eyes, she sees the Blade Knight waiting alongside her near a fire, and he introduces himself as the host of the Egyptian moon god, Khonshu. He adds that he is here to help and take her to the Ohio base. They ride on his bike and soon reach their destination. To their shock, they see that the base is surrounded by zombies, and an unknown voice asks for the reason of their visit. Here we learn that the person controlling them is Molina, the wife of Alexei and the mother of Yelena Belova. She is using a neurological device to control the zombies. Kamala lets them know that she is there to use a S.H.I.E.L.D. motherboard and connect it to her transmitter, so as to send a distress signal to the Nova Corps. But to their disappointment, Molina replies that due to the event from Wakanda 5 years ago, no radio waves of any frequency can exit the Earth's atmosphere. Hence they need to go to space and then send the signal. Just then, alarm blares, and to their horror, they find the zombie commander, Okoye, gathered outside their base along with a humongous horde of the undead. Blade informs them that she is the scion of the Queen of the Undead, who is none other than Wanda Maximoff. The group, along with a lot of widows, prepare to fight. The initial zombie forces are suppressed using explosions, but the abomination throws zombie Captain America, and he along with some other zombies infiltrate via the roof. Next, Okoye sends Ghost, and she easily infiltrates inside the building using her powers and kills all the widows. Understanding that they can no longer win, Molina asks Alexei and the rest to leave and locks the door, intending to stall the attackers as long as possible. A fight begins between two super soldiers, Alexei and a zombie Captain America, and although Steve gains an upper hand, Alexei eventually manages to defeat him. Soon, Abomination also breaks into the facility and Okoye turns the remaining zombies into her science. Next, she hurls her spear at Molina, killing her swiftly. Just as the group was about to exit the facility, Blade senses an incoming attack, and sure enough, they get attacked by Ghost. Using his exceptional combat skills, Blade defeats her in a sword fight, impressing the rest of the group. The group exits the facility and an explosion occurs, leading to Yelena mourning for her mother. But the group has no time to waste, and Blade suggests them that he knows where they can find a spaceship to reach outer space and transmit the distress signal. The second episode begins with a flashback from the fateful day 5 years ago, with the scenes near the PIM laboratory, from where zombies and monster-sized humans are emerging, referencing the What If episode in which we saw the zombie virus being spread from the PIM laboratories. The city erupts into chaos as the zombies are attacking humans as they please. Amongst these people is Shang-Chi and his friend, Katie, who attempt to flee the infected city. They are assisted by FBI agent Jimmy Woo, as the city rapidly collapses into chaos. Soon, they are intercepted by Wonwoo, Shang-Chi's father, and the Ten Rings organization, who use martial arts and advanced weaponry to create an escape route. Being a kind-hearted person, Shang-Chi tries to save as many people as he can, but in the process, gets bitten on the arm by a zombie. Not willing to lose his son, Wonwoo transfers the 10 rings to Shang-Chi. The ring's mystical power successfully halts the spread of the infection past his right arm. Post that, Wonwoo sacrifices himself by engaging the Horde to buy his son some time, and Shang-Chi watches his father being overwhelmed and devoured, and the Death Dealer guides Shang-Chi, Katie, and Jimmy Woo to safety. The story returns to the present, 5 years after the outbreak. Shang-Chi and his group, comprising of Katie, Jimmy Woo, and Death Dealer, are traveling through a desert. But while on their way, they are confronted by a group of Skrull bikers who act like post-apocalyptic marauders or pirates, attempting to steal their supplies. Shang-Chi and his team quickly dispatch the Skrulls using the power of the 10 rings, which he now shares with Katie, and they continue their mission toward a potential refuge at an artificial city known as the Raft. Post reaching there, they are met with Yelena and her team. Alexei starts to initiate small talk, but as soon as he sees Shang-Chi's infected arm, he prepares to attack. The fight is stopped by Zemo, who is the commander of the floating city, called the Raft. The two groups of survivors meet and establish an alliance. The primary objective is to use the Project LifeShot subspace transmitter, retrieved in Episode 1, to contact the Nova Corps from outer space. But Zemo is revealed to be attempting to betray the survivors, using them as bait to facilitate his own escape to New Asgard. Back in her cell, Kamala again gets another nightmare, in which she sees the Hulk standing around a source of energy and Wanda trying to attack her. The scene then shifts to Okoye, who turns the zombie Talokan king, Namor, into the scion of the queen and commands him to attack the raft. The raft is breached by a new, devastating wave of undead, zombie Namor and his infected Talokan horde. The heroes are woken up from their sleep, but to their shock, find their cells locked by Zemo, who expresses his wish to sacrifice them to Namor and his zombies. But Namor's attack breaks a part of the vessel, and his entry inside the vessel hampers Zemo's plan of escape. He soon activates the Hulk containment cell, which was prepared for such an occasion, and this temporarily stops the Talokan king. But his minions soon create havoc inside the raft, and our heroes join forces and take down most of them. But just as they were about to escape, Namor breaks out of the containment and swiftly attacks the group. Even the strength of all the heroes combined is not enough to match the power of the zombie Namor. Our heroes still do not give up hope and continue fighting, and Namor manages to kill John Walker, who is the aide of Zemo. Just as he was about to kill Kamala, Shang-Chi and Katie bind his hands with the rings, and Alexei grabs hold of his throat. Namor still manages to bite Kamala, but she had covered her hand with the power of her bracelet. Using all her strength, she manages to blow up Namor's head, and the King of Talokan is finally subdued. But this is when Yelena speaks through the speakers, and lets them know that the escape pod needs to be operated manually, and hence she must stay back. Alexei denies to accept her sacrifice, but she continues to manually lead the pod to safety at the cost of her own life. Alexei is heartbroken to have lost his wife and daughter, and the group travel to New Asgard with the hopes of finding a spaceship. We are taken to a flashback, 5 years ago, where Peter Parker tells the story of the day when he, along with Scott Lang and the Black Panther, came face to face with a zombified Thanos wielding 5 Infinity Stones. Peter's group had the Mind Stone in their grasp, and they intended to use it along with Wakanda tech to cure the world of the disease. But facing Thanos proved to be too much for them. The heroes fought valiantly, and although Thanos was zombified, he was quick on the uptake when it came to mastering the stones. Using their power, he raised the dead, and just as the trio was surrounded by a horde of zombies, Thor stormed onto the battlefield with Groot and Rocket by his side. Wielding Stormbreaker, he challenged the Mad Titan and drove the weapon into Thanos' chest, making the fatal mistake of not going for the head. Thanos retaliated with the Power Stone, effortlessly pulverizing Thor, killing Groot and Rocket, and leaving Thor gravely injured. Having subdued Thor, the Mad Titan turned his attention to the trio, and in the process exposed the underground vibranium reactor. Spider-Man and his team put up a brave fight, but with the might of 5 Infinity Stones, Thanos was a force to be reckoned with. Peter handed the Mind Stone to T'Challa, who tried to take the Titan head-on. But Thanos overpowered him and used his power to seize the Mind Stone as well. With all 6 stones now in his possession, he became the most powerful being in the universe. Realizing there was no other way, T'Challa struck Thanos, and this pushed them both into the vibranium reactor, destroying the gauntlet and unleashing the raw power of the stones. Peter and Scott managed to escape with the help of a Kamartaj sorcerer, and the story shifted back to the present day. We are introduced to Sarah, the London Master, and Rintrah, all 3 being renowned sorcerers. Using their magic, they tracked Scarlet Witch, who by now had amassed enough power to achieve her ultimate goal. Meanwhile, Shang-Chi and his group landed in New Asgard, a city perched on a hilltop and temporarily safe from the zombie onslaught. There they encountered Valkyrie, who at first dismissed them as mere mortals. But when Khonshu appeared, she agreed to let them in. Inside, New Asgard appeared lively, with its warriors drinking and sparring, trying to keep spirits high. Kamala soon spotted Thor, and it was revealed that after losing to Thanos, he had hung up his cape, spending his days wallowing in regret. In a shocking twist, the one feeding the Asgardians was none other than Wanda Maximoff. She approached Kamala, urging her to join forces to heal the world. Sensing something amiss, Kamala demanded to know her true intentions, and moments later, the Asgardians began falling ill. This is when Wanda revealed her dark secret. Though infected, she had managed to control her mind and warp reality, masking her true form. Dropping her hex, she showed that the feast had not been food at all, but the remains of zombies, and having eaten them, the Asgardians began to turn. Feeling betrayed, Valkyrie launched an attack, but was swiftly overpowered. The group fought off waves of zombies, but Zemo, Jimmy Woo, and the Death Dealer were all defeated in the struggle. Kamala, using the power of her bracelet, managed to hold Wanda back, buying the group just enough time to escape. Tragedy struck again when Alexei began transforming, having unknowingly consumed the tainted food, and although reluctant, the group was forced to leave him behind. As they tried to flee, Wanda used her powers to drag their ship back down. Just when all hope seemed lost, lightning struck the Scarlet Witch, and Thor finally returned to the fray. He threw himself into battle, hammer and tongs, against Wanda. Though her power seemed unstoppable, Thor refused to yield, urging the group to escape. Before they departed, he named Kamala an Avenger. The survivors managed to break free and soon reached outer space. There, Kamala used the transmitter to call the Nova Corps. But almost immediately, their ship was surrounded by Nova battleships. The aliens declared that Earth was quarantined, and no one was permitted to leave. It dawned on the group that the Nova Corps had never intended to help. They were simply there to keep the infection from spreading to the rest of the universe. Post-hearing this, the group faces the firepower of the Nova Corps. Their ship, now targeted by the Corps, is struck and goes down, and although Kamala quickly conjures a shield to protect them, she cannot sustain it for long. As they plunge into a freefall, the group is saved by the sorcerers of Kamartaj, and upon waking, Kamala and the others are met by Peter and Scott Lang. Meanwhile, the Scarlet Witch approaches Wakanda with her forces, inching ever closer to her goal. At Kamar Taj, the sorcerers, along with Scott and Peter, request Kamala and her group's help to save the world. They explain that on the day of the Wakanda event, when King T'Challa sacrificed his life and destroyed Thanos inside the vibranium reactor, the immense energy of the Infinity Stones scattered all around, destroying everything in its path. To contain this destruction, Bruce Banner stepped forward. The Hulk absorbed all the gamma radiation emitted from the stones, halting the devastation and suppressing their power within himself. This transformed him into the Infinite Hulk. As the anchor of power, Hulk became the guardian holding back the might of the Infinity Stones. Wanda now seeks to claim that power and reshape the world to her will. If the heroes fail to oppose her, the world will never be the same. Hearing this, Kamala reflects on all that has happened and recalls the sacrifices of Riri and Kate. Seeing her weighed down by thoughts, Shang-Chi consoles her, reminding her of Thor. He recounts how Thor, after his defeat by Thanos, had lost hope, yet Kamala's courage rekindled his spirit and gave him the strength to fight the Scarlet Witch. He insists that if there is even a sliver of hope to save the world, they must fight tooth and nail. His words stir Kamala's spirit, and she regains her resolve. The scene shifts to the Infinite Hulk, awaiting the incoming zombie attack. Soon, Abomination lunges at him, only to be struck down by a single earth-shattering punch that also wipes out a horde of nearby zombies. Yet Wanda had planned ahead. She summons a vast army of the undead, swarming Banner. He battles valiantly, but gigantic zombies slow him down. Nevertheless, Hulk musters his strength and overpowers them, until the Asgardian zombies join the fray, wielding their fearsome weapons against him. At last, the zombies manage to wound the Infinite Hulk. Wanda seizes the moment, attempting to siphon the Infinity Stone's power. But suddenly, she is struck by the 10 rings as a portal opens, and the heroes enter the battlefield. Against overwhelming odds, none falter. Each hero fights with every ounce of strength, buying Hulk precious time to heal. Wanda, however, tries to sway Kamala to her cause, but the young hero stands her ground, refusing to join forces with the Red Queen. In response, the Red Queen resorts to psychological warfare, unleashing zombified versions of Alexei, Yelena, and Molina against Kamala. Meanwhile, Scott battles Zombie Wasp, and Shang-Chi confronts the undead Death Dealer. Their troubles deepen when thunder roars overhead, and a bolt of red lightning incinerates the London Master and Sarah in an instant. To everyone's horror, Zombie Thor arrives. Blade leaps to challenge him, but proves no match for the fallen Thunder God. A ferocious clash breaks out between Thor and the Infinite Hulk. Though Thor gains the upper hand at first, Hulk's newfound might eventually crushes him underfoot. The heroes barely have a moment to breathe before Wanda strikes again, closing in on Hulk and beginning to drain his powers. Kamala makes a desperate attempt to stop her, but cannot withstand the Scarlet Witch. The horde of zombies overwhelms the team, and unwilling to let their sacrifices be in vain, Kamala makes a fateful choice. She joins hands with the Red Queen. Harnessing the Infinity Stones, Wanda casts a vast hex across the world. In the blink of an eye, Kamala finds herself back in her bedroom. Her friends call for her, and when she opens the door, Kate and Riri invite her out for coffee. Relieved, Kamala thanks them for being by her side through such dire times. Yet to her shock, Kate and Riri seem clueless, unaware of what she is talking about. Suddenly, the world around her begins to distort. The pedestrians outside dissolve into mirages. It was all an illusion of the Red Queen. Realization dawns upon Kamala, but before she can react, she hears Riri's voice calling her again, urging her to wake up.